Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 16th. We got a big day today. We got the FOMC. We got retail sales. So let's just go through the charts really quickly here. Here on the daily, we have bounced off the 50-day moving average still pretty well. I think we're going to do some backtesting on that today because, there's been some people saying, oh, the NASDAQ went below the 50-day moving average, sell everything. And I just don't think it matters. But we can do some backtesting on that. We'll see. Anyways, the E-mini had a pretty okay move up overnight yesterday, and they gave back a lot of that and sold into the close. And now here overnight, again, a move up and slightly higher. And they're beating out some of these levels back here a week ago. So, they're in an okay spot. In the equities right now, Treasuries still holding firm. A little bit of sell pressure yesterday, but never really broke. Kind of not going anywhere. A lot of pent up, I think these guys want to move today. I think we could see some moves in Treasuries today, but we'll see. Oil. Yesterday recovering some of its decline. So that's good. We got this whole storm moving in, and that the flooding is going to affect a lot of the demand from the refineries and everything. So that's going to be a big impact there. Gold still not really going anywhere. They pushed down towards 1950 yesterday, and now overnight they've recovered again. But gold still is being kind of an odd trade, not really going much of anywhere. And copper also kind of flat. So what do we have? We have a market that is ready for retail sales and the FOMC. We got about 3 minutes here. Let's make sure we got our text-to-speech up. Now, for the numbers, we're looking for retail sales ex autos to be 0.9% is the estimate versus a previous reading of 1.9, which would reflect the weakening recovery, as we've been talking, as has been the case for quite some time now. And overall retail sales, we're looking for a number of 1% versus a previous reading of 1.2%. I do believe that there's a possibility that number will be higher than expected. 1% sounds just a little weak to me. But we're already kind of up, so I don't know if I really have a good trade for this one. The setup just isn't too great. If we really disappoint, I guess I could sell it, but I don't. That seems really unlikely given the situation. So, but we'll see. Kind of get this thing, people are really waiting for the FOMC. So what I've often seen happen is retail sales comes out, it's not really a big deal, and then nothing happens until FOMC. Yeah. Wow, there's a really wide estimate too, by the way. Like the range of estimates I'm hearing is like 0.1 to 4%. So regardless of what number we get here, it might be a real messy trade. Keep my eye over here on Twitter. By the way, I got this new now we talk about that later. We should talk about that later. Okay, so it was 0.6, so lower than the overall estimate on both of these numbers. So that could be short. Market's not really reacting to it. Treasury's ticking a little bit higher, but there's just not a whole lot of activity off of it. I guess not that many people are looking to play it. Let's see, maybe the treasuries are able to push it down enough that they get a real reaction. I think that they would need to at least close below 34.11 before people would freak out. Hmm. I'm gonna have a really shiny head today as I feel kind of hot. Hmm. Oh, new version of Jigsaw charts today. But it looks like it's mostly bug fixes and they add the cumulative sheep index. Which, yeah, that's okay, I guess. Zero Hedge tweets. In other news, JP Morgan really needs to recalibrate its card spending data. Bank of America's real time tracker is orders of magnitude better. Ooh. Okay, so they did break down there. So I guess it was a short. I mean, I was thinking about taking a short, but it was such a tepid reaction. We'll see if it actually ends up being a worthwhile trade. So far, though, I'm just really surprised how lackluster it is. I see 3407 down at the is a target down at the bottom. While we're kind of sitting around here, I have some food, so I'm gonna eat a little bit as we watch it here because there's not a whole lot to say about it. Well, I guess we could have gotten our $20. I don't know if that trade would have been worth it still. It seems like really weird. And I'm wondering if it's going to snap back hard. So we're touching the buyer's cost basis here now. So if they take another step lower, then maybe we actually have something. Well, maybe a little bit of a pullback there. They may just chill here for a while, to be honest. This would be a spot that you'd normally see a bounce, but they kind of just chilling here. I don't know if that means that they're going to try and cross the spread and go down to 98. It's possible. Okay. So they did slip there. I'm not entirely ready to call it like 33.98 yet, but they're certainly heading in that direction, aren't they? Suppose if I had been short from up here, I might be trying to let it run.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says test.
Um, I don't know. It's really common for them to kind of slip through that line a little bit and stop a few people out and then reverse. I don't see. Well, that does kind of look like a stop out move. That push lower. You know, look at the cumulative delta and everything. It rose a little bit and then dumped. So, anyways, I was thinking here, like, I guess it's not too bad on this microphone. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Pa pa pa. Nah, I don't have too much problems with pop filter on this mic. Pop filter on this. I would really have to. Yeah, I think we're good. I got this new thing. I can put it on here. It works okay. It's really meant for the other microphone. It doesn't look as good. Oh man, that doesn't look even half as nice. No, I don't think I like that. But also, I'm gonna take that off. I think we need to rearrange our mic here a little bit, don't you think? I mean, it's in a good spot. I think it's in an okay spot. I just want to ink down just a little. That's a little better. Oh, but now I can see the monitor. Ah. Maybe we need to just zoom in a little bit. Sure.
Salim L. Weathering says hi, boss. Salim L. Weathering says I wish your family is all right.
Everything is going just great, Salim. Thank you for thinking about us.
Salim L. Weathering says God bless them. There we go. How do you guys think about that? It's a little closer than it's been past few weeks, but I don't know. It's not bad. I think we keep it like this for a bit. It does. Let's make sure that we get like the zoom, it really sharp. Yeah, it's a little nicer on the background. Well, this is an interesting thing Scott Adams is retweeting here. They're pointing out that Brennan was extremely opposed to moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. He said, by moving the embassy to Jerusalem, Trump destroyed U.S. peacemaker role. People actually pay John Brennan money to explain what's going on in the world, wrote Michael Doran, senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. But then they were able to pull out this huge deal out of nowhere. with Jared Kushner. Wow, really, it's Jared Kushner's achievement. Really, that was the big. Remember when it was like that was the big thing, and everybody on the left was like, "No, Jared Kushner is incompetent, and I can't believe that you're giving him this and every." But he got it. Way exceeded expectations. Like, do you remember when Jimmy Carter normalized relations between Egypt and Israel and how big of a deal that was? And they've done it with 6 countries. You don't really hear anything about it. Of course. Market ears pointing out that there's less gamma on right now. I want to up the brightness here just a tad and do 35%. That's better. I don't know. There's something about the camera that seems off to me, but I just can't put a finger on it. Something I would like to change. Okay, so it does look like they're bouncing back up at the 09 there. Well, you know what, guys? I don't know if we've really got a good trade today, so I think that we should do some back testing. What do you think? How big of a daily chart do you think that it will let us load up here? What do you think? Actually, let's do it on the NASDAQ because Nazi was what this guy I was seeing online was concerned about. Daily, 1 day. And can I load?
Luis Alarid says all I remember about Carter is how my mom complained how expensive things were at the store.
Yeah? You can remember that when you were a kid? That's cool. I'm going to try and load 10,000 days of NQ. Let's see if it'll let us. How far back will it let us go? Well, it hasn't spit anything out at us. Oh, look at that. So how far is it going back? It's going back to 2009. I don't know if that's actually 10,000 days. How many days would 10,000? How many years would 10,000 actually be? Then 1, 2, 3 divided by 365 days a year. That would be 27 years. It won't go back. So this is as much data as it'll let us pull. All the way back to 2008, 2009. So basically, it'll let us pull 10 years. Okay. So then...
Y Trader says, hey Seth, can you see the big order at 177.05 zettabytes? What do you think?
Yeah,
Celine Wuthering says the is a reason why Nobel Prize winners are Jewish. And that is because Jewish women marry smarts while Muslim women marry money.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, man. No, E-Trader, I do see the order there at 896. It does look a little bigger than we're used to having, but it's really, really common to see a big order there just above the high of the day and down below. It's also not uncommon to see them like 2 ticks out. That used to be a really common thing too. There's just kind of like some robots that behave that way, that like they come up there and then if it comes back, then they stick a big order there. So I don't know if it really means anything. I mean, when I think about it with my current framework, I don't want to follow other traders, so that there's a big order there doesn't necessarily matter to me in that respect. But it does matter to me, like, okay, is somebody putting a trade on? But I don't think we can say that in this case because it's not enough for for me to be unusual. You know. And also not really seeing anything too interesting in these treasuries here. And the location
Why trader
is
says
pretty
I own the
high.
Sartan.
Like overall, like momentum wise and everything, we're pretty high. Like they have a hard time holding these prices. Okay, so anyways, let's see if we can stick a 50-day simple moving average on here. Oh, I don't know what all of these are. EHMA, Hilbert transformation. That's all sorts of weird stuff there. I have to look at those. I don't remember why I downloaded that. Okay. 50. Okay. So we had one day closed below the 50-day moving average. We did. So what do we do in a situation like this? What do you guys think? If we close below the moving average and then we close above the moving average, you know, how much of a do we have to sit down and say it has to if it closes below and then the next day it's above, it doesn't cancel out the signal that we just keep going along? What do you guys think? What do you want? How would you do it? What do you want to do? What do you think would be the most useful to us? See, here in this case, it was pretty well. Okay, they closed below it. Let's say it requires 2 days to close.
Salim L. Wuthering says, what's the signal?
So we're talking. There's been a lot of discussion about 50-day moving average in the markets lately. So we're trying to find a back test about it to see, does it really make sense to use the 50-day moving average? So you like a situation like this, right? It's like, okay, there's a close below it.
Why trader says I found NQ weird to trade.
You go short there. So here's the thing. I was on TikTok last night. And this guy, I think it was from several days ago, is like, oh, we've closed below the 50-day moving average on the NASDAQ. So now is time to sell everything and get out. And I asked him, have you back tested that? And he said, I took live trades and it hasn't done anything since. And I'm like, that's not a back test. It was like he was avoiding the question. He kept trying to go back to his own performance was good. And it's like, I don't really care about your performance. I care about the historical accuracy of that measurement. So yeah. So now I'm like, well, we should backtest it. But then it's like, how do you deal with those rules? The whole thing is, how do you deal with the how do we put it? The messiness of it, right? So like on this one, if the rule was only you go short if it closes below, then right, you would go short, but then you would go long here. And then I guess you go short again. But then here you go long again. You would just lose money here in this area, right? Same here with this. It's not really.
Salim L. Wuthering says, to be honest with you, laggy indicators are laggy.
Oh,
I
totally.
would use them for aesthetic reasons, but I hate hairs on my chart.
I agree with you, Salim. So what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to convince other people. How do I convince them that it doesn't really work? Well, if all you do is look at it closing below the moving, let's just do the naive approach. Let's just do the naive approach. By the way, they are coming back up here. Ninja script, ninja script. Actually, we don't need to make one. We can just do new. Because I do have an SMA one, so moving averages, SMA strat, type, day, value 1 day, and then here on this, see how, let us go to 2009.
Why Trader says, hey Salim.
It says April 2009.
Why Trader says you
we'll
trading?
just say the beginning of 2009. I haven't taken a trade. Well, when the retail sales came out, the reaction to it was kind of tepid, and it wasn't like a huge miss. So I guess I could have taken it short, and it would have been a great trade. But it's kind of lackluster. And then since then, it's kind of come back. So I don't know if we really have a trade until the Federal Reserve minutes are released. This market kind of looks like they're really ready to do something with the FOMC, but I don't know. We'll see what they get. The treasuries certainly feel like, I don't know if the E-mini will actually move a whole lot. Okay, and this period should be 50.
Why Trader
Okay.
says, Seth, which instrument you trading and master the most and why?
Well, I think I've traded the 10-year by far the most, and that's because I've relied primarily on order flow and you want to see the liquidity. Since I've been moving a lot more towards using fundamentals and news and everything, I found that it's really hard for me to be informed enough about the treasuries to really know what's going on. There's just too much information out there that I don't know about. I think I need to find a better news source that specializes more in bonds. That I just haven't found it yet. If you know of one, let me know. Like a news squawk, like a morning rundown that focuses on bond things, and that would include like mutual funds and uh, uh, municipal offerings. That's what I meant to say. Okay, we should include the commissions, and break at end of day should be off so that we'll hold positions overnight. So let's run that and see if, we have to select an instrument. Let's select the NQ. Oh, and we should come back here and make sure that we're not like back adjusted or anything like that. Options.
Why Trader says ZN is difficult.
Merge,
Salim L. Weathering
non-back
says, what do
adjusted.
you think about that stock trader, Warrior? The war thing. He has 3 million in the account, loses 30K some days and gets 70K other days. Based on candlestick formations.
I don't know if I should really comment on that. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have opinions about him. I think that a lot of it is he's like anybody else. He's trying to sell you following him, and I don't recommend following another trader's trades. Especially if they're saying like, "Oh, here are the stocks to look at today." Nah, no thanks. Okay, let's try running this. Oh, it ran that
Why
like
Trader
almost
says Warrior is
immediately.
trading stocks. Why Trader
Wow,
says not
negative
future.
sharp and negative sharp ratio. So let's see here. We should do this in points. So we run this in points.
Salim L. Weathering says at eTrader hi Yassine.
So let's see here. Let's just go through the range here. So we're at
Let's not make this personal, says my
3409.
course is on sale for today only. Traders.
Minus 1229. 2108. Oh my gosh, that's really bad. Yeah. I mean, like the thing is it's okay to sell stuff, but I think that or and to mentor and to teach and educate is just it's what they're we're I guess I'm on this because there was a thread about this on the subreddit the other day, but the issue is you don't want to sit down and say I've done all of the work. All you have to do is follow the things that I've learned and you'll be a successful trader. It doesn't work that way because it's
Y Trader
competitive.
says ZB and ZN are correlated but not sure who's leading the other.
Right? So if you're playing a competitive game like basketball, right? I could tell you everything that I know about basketball. If I'm in the NBA, I might not tell you everything because I don't want you to take away my team strategies and things like that. But I'm physically good at the basketball thing. So, you know, that's kind of my edge and it's hard for other people to duplicate that, right? But in trading, it's all just knowledge, right? So if you're an educator and you have a system and you give your system away, that ruins the system. It no longer has edge because everybody
Sunday
has
Driver says you are good at basketball.
it. No, I'm terrible at basketball. But you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, the whole thing is just nonsense. Um, you want to teach people things that will help them develop their own edges and not just, trying to get them to use some system that you came up with. So interestingly enough on this strategy, the shorts do really poorly. It actually does come out with a very, very slight profit factor. But you can see there that on the short trades, it's not a good indication of a short, is it? And how many trades did it actually take? 90. 90 trades. That's really, really interesting. This guy is full of shit. I mean, really. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at this. But you see, it's doing this thing. So here's the thing, whereas it says, okay, it wants you to short it, but then when it closes above it, it closes the position and buys. Right? It gets thrashed around here on this. So shall we make a modification? Ninja script editor. Here's the thing, is that this guy that I'm kind of making this that prompted me to make this. He just straight up it was just as simple as we're below the 50-day moving average, sell everything. And I'm like, so did you backtest that? And he said, and he started like
Yuri
deflecting.
says, is there any news can affect GC?
Well, the FOMC will definitely affect GC today. Anyways, it was just so simple, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's if you had actually backtested that, then you wouldn't be saying it the way that you are because you would know that it's more nuanced. Oh, so this is the whole thing to make it only happen once. Oh, because it happens on price change. So what happens first of all if we just change it to on bar close? Okay, on bar close, and then we don't need this, and we don't need this. I know. I'm just thinking about Sunday Driver asking me if I'm good. I'm so bad at basketball, to be honest with you. Okay. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, doesn't look like that changed it, which is what we should expect. It still took 90 trades. Okay, so that's good. That is actually good.
Let's not make this personal, says as you're back testing data over server or local.
It's local.
Why Trader says does YouTube pays for live?
What do you mean by does YouTube pay for live? Like, do you make money for going live on YouTube? You'll once a video is live stream is ended, it becomes a regular video, and then any kind of uh advertising
Why
revenue
Trader
that you
says
normally
yes.
make. Yeah, any kind of advertising revenue that you would normally make, just applies. So, okay, so let's
Sunday Driver says send super
this.
chats.
Yep, you can also send super chat. You can pay for super chats and stickers. If you do a super chat, it will show up at the bottom of the screen. And you can also now you can subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, you get a cool icon next to your name, and you can use special emojis. And at some point, I'm thinking about making it so that if you're subscribed to the channel, I'll give you access to some of the indicators I use. But we'll see. No, I wouldn't give you access to all of the indicators, but like the market depth tape. Hey, $1 a month, huh? What do you think? They're Camera's saying that the VIX is taking a huge jump up today. It would make sense, I guess. Okay, so let's change this to be if the close of 0 is above my moving average of 0 and the close of 1 is above my moving average of 1 and the close of 2 is not greater than my moving average of 2. Am I allowed to do that? No, I guess not. Okay. Let's try that. So we got 1.12 before. And oh, because I'm still doing SMA strat, we need to go to daily SMA. 50-day daily SMA, blah blah blah. Okay. So that was a little bit better. Actually, it looks like it's a pretty good setup for a long, but not for a short. Not at all for a short. Isn't that interesting? So what if we just do this? We're not going short, we're just getting out. Aha. So it's giving me a profit factor of 3.24. The Sharpe ratio isn't very high, though. Oh, you get a pretty bad drawdown at some point. And there are losers. There are losers. Very much so losers. Let's go to the chart. Okay. So in our strategy, it has not actually gotten out yet. Here it got out. That's pretty good. But you do get chopped around here still. Okay. So let's just take a picture of that. I can make a little bit more specific of a video just for this later. Here, paste it, expand canvas, okay. And now I want to change it so that it will get out if it closes out down at all. Okay.
Let's not make this personal, says new member. Welcome, let's not make this personal.
Hey. Thank you very much. So now you can post the cool emoji. Do it. Let's do it. Do it with me. Do you see this one? Here's the best one right here. Yes. It's the best one.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says _SPS panic.
I need to fix it so that she doesn't read those out. There's a colon around them, but she should make a sound instead. Oh, maybe we'd have time to fix that too. Okay, so that makes it worse. It makes it worse. In particular, your percent probable isn't as good. So you need more. You probably need more than just that to get you out. That's super interesting. You need 2 days to confirm. But what did we say here when we did the calculator again? 2,000. 2,000. And this made 6. So it's actually good. It's actually really good. I don't know why the Sharpe ratio isn't very good. I guess the percent probable and everything.
Let's not make this personal says, _SPS panic, ha.
Right? It is great. You also get the rainbow bear. Rainbow bear is great too. Yeah, we gotta be careful with the rainbow bear though. We crashed the market last time we used the rainbow bear. Oh, look at them. They're moving down now. They're gonna go for that 3,400 again. I'm kind of getting sick of 3,400, but you know, whatever. So funny. Stryker told me in PM that he was like trying to read my DOM. So he was like really in the and squinting, and then I moved it to the full screen, and he was like, "Ah!"
Salim L. Wuthering says that let's not make this personal. I only can get the politically correct bear.
Man, you can only get the politically correct bear. I'm sorry, Salim. Well, all it takes is $1, Salim. $1 a month, and you can have the rainbow bear. He's not. I mean, the rainbow bear is kind of politically
Let's not
correct,
make
too.
this personal says in that case.
It's so funny.
Let's not make this personal says, _SPS bull.
There you go. He's gonna make it go long today. This whole backtest here is really interesting to me. I bet you that if we go back further, it's maybe not so. Yeah, interesting also that it gives you the probability is only 1%, and that it only wins 40% of the time. So do you get that where it's saying people say it closed below the SMA, you should sell. It's not really that simple. I mean, if you are just purely mechanical about it, then yeah, I guess it works out. But number one is you probably want to have something to confirm it, like 2 days confirm it or something like that. But then the number two is that you definitely, it's actually when the exit is the part that's not really very good. Like if you try going short whenever those happens, it kind of messes you up because normally, because it basically it'll just chop around. We could probably make it better by doing something like, what could we do? Oh, how come this one's only showing me? Oh, I know why. Because we're at the beginning. Okay, yeah. So maybe we could do something more like RSI or something to kind of try and find the bottom instead. Might be more effective. I'm starting to notice though that technical backtests tend to work a lot better on daily timeframes. A lot better, in fact. Okay, so I'm still looking at my camera over here, and there's still something that kind of bothers me about it.
Vlad Stolyarov says yeah, pullbacks are better too.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't think this guy actually backtested it because there's no nuance in it. There should be nuance in it. No, I'm going to move
Salim
it.
L. Wuthering says brew leave it.
I'm going to move it. I think I'm going to move it just an inch up.
Salim L. Wuthering says nah. Salim L. Wuthering says don't.
Okay, so I like
Salim L.
the angle
Wuthering
a
says
little
oh my
better.
god Seth, you messed it up again. Vlad Stolyarov says slightly smiling face. Vlad Stolyarov says go left.
That's a better. Then it's tilted a little bit this way. And which way does this need to go? Yeah. Okay. So.
Vlad Stolyarov says don't put face in middle.
Where do you think it should be? You think I should be all the way over here like this?
Hoping for $400.
Sunday driver says does Seth need a mouse coach?
What do you mean? What the heck is a mouse coach? You just got into Ethereum? Well, I mean, when I look at Bitcoin.
Vlad Stolyarov says it doesn't mess with
I don't know.
charts.
So I'm not going to tell you that going into Ethereum right now is a bad trade or anything. But I just want to make sure that you're aware that the FOMC can have significant impacts on cryptocurrencies. So it might be better to wait until after the FOMC to make your decision. I mean, if they're like overly dovish and they do something that makes it seem like they're going to hurt the dollar, then it might be a good trade. Okay. Move the mouse up, move the mouse down, double click. What? It's still messed up. That's better. That's a lot better. Now it's a little bit more like you're looking down at me, but I don't know. But then we can also do this. We can zoom back out a little bit. Yeah. And then I'll warn you, I'm going to make it big here again. And just make sure that we're nice and focused. What? You don't like it? You preferred it the way that it was? He's messing with my mind. Here, turn the text-to-speech back on.
Vlad Stolyarov says it's better now.
It's better now? You think it's better now? Okay, cool. Did you see that? So the other thing that I was messing with was this thing. I got this. Well, you have to take this thing off, but because in my last video there was so many, so I got this. It's not really necessary for the Yeti, but look, it looks so ugly. I don't know. I guess it doesn't look bad, but it's not nearly as sexy as this. That is sexy, right? That is crazy sexy. Oh, you know what was I know what it was that was bothering me is you really couldn't see the microphone with the way that it was. I actually think I could tilt it down just a tad bit.
Salim L. Wuthering says nah Seth, it looks good. You don't need sexy. Salim L. Wuthering says stop it.
Much better.
Salim L. Wuthering says common SEEEETH.
It really bothers him, doesn't it? It really genuine. He's not just playing with us. It genuinely bothers him.
Vlad Stolyarov says interesting order flow started on AAPL at exactly 7 a.m. dumped.
Oh, really? Okay, so for this thing, we got it fixed back up, right? Yeah, we did. You guys have any other ideas about things that you would want to do to this backtest to prove the efficacy of a simple moving average on a daily chart? Seems to me that even though there is some mechanical edge in it, A close below the simple moving average is probably not alone a reason to bail on everything. In fact, it seems to me that, well, I don't know. There's going to be advantages and disadvantages of it, isn't there? I think a better strategy would probably be something like have some cash when it gets crazy, add it in, you know?
Salim L. Weathering says I would put in 10,000 ticks stop loss.
Well, that's another thing is that you could go in and you could like how far actually can it go and stuff. But so let's come back and redo this so that it's the better way. Okay. So when we come in and we look at some of the analysis, oh my gosh, you make so much in this last run. Look at it though; it's not actually that amazing. Before that,
Popular No V Bulgaria says it's best if you don't trade high volatility market.
So that's the first thing is that if you're trying to avoid the really big drawdowns, and these are in points. Okay, so like if you're trying to avoid like a 300, 400 point drawdown in the NASDAQ, it's not good enough apparently. But then, you know, we get these sorts of things. So you can see how there's a couple of losers that just really go really far against you.
Vlad Stolyarov says I like to buy only extremes on FOMC day.
So it doesn't completely protect you from the worst days, does it? It's just some of these are just really good winners is really what's causing it. Right? Or to be put a different way, if the simple moving average was an effective way to protect your profits, that's not what this is saying. The reason this is profitable is because you get the winners run for so long. So it's maybe an effective entry trigger, but it's not necessarily an effective exit trigger. There you go. See, like some of these entries are just incredibly inefficient. But you can kind of see how, okay, the entries that you do get that are good, they are very efficient. And the ones that you get that don't do very well are kind of not very efficient. But when you look at the exit, it's just all over the place. So it doesn't seem to be very effective for exits. That's my take on it, at least. I think this guy he's saying that he backtested, I think he's full of shit. Now, on the other hand, if you do get a close below the 50-day moving average and you have fundamental catalysts going on, like the coronavirus that makes you say, oh, yeah, this is going to go on for quite some time, then actually would be a pretty good, you know? It's like these, where it gets messed up is kind of these spots where it's a little fuzzy and the market fights around it for a long time. Let's see. It's best if you don't trade a high volatility market. Well, I don't know. It's depends on what your edge is and what the cause of the volatility is, and right, because back at the right after Congress passed that law, I mean we've had a high volatility market ever since, but it's been a good market to trade, and you do want some volatility. Those low volatility markets can just be death death to day traders, man. When it was, like 2017, 2016, and we were getting really crazy low volatility, there was not a lot of retail traders doing well at that time. There was a lot of complaining. And I was having a really hard time back then too.
Salim L. Wuthering says when people say something dumb in trading, I say, yo dude, you full of shit. Probably bully them some more.
What, when I say that a lot of people didn't do well in 2017? Or are you still talking about the back test? It really bothers me when people post a technical edge and then they don't back it up with any kind of data. Really bothers me. So there you go. We got the data. Another thing, and this is just...
Salim L. Wuthering says back test. My Wi-Fi is laggy, sorry.
You're back a little bit. You just refreshed the... well, it looks like you're cut up. But if sometimes you can get delayed, you just have to refresh. Nah, I just... people say stuff and they don't provide evidence, and then and most of the time I go back and I test it and it's nonsense. Like if you're trying to use a simple moving average on a short time frame, like an intraday time frame, it doesn't really work all that well. Not on its own, at least. It seems to me that these kind of technical edges work way better on daily bases. On an intraday basis, there's just too much stop out kind of action.
Live Action says the flipper in an interview said he used an RSI once but didn't like it and that he does not use any indicators. Look at Elite Trader, he has no volume on ladders.
He has no volume on his ladders? Well, what I want to know, because we know some of the kinds of things that the flipper did when he was really making money, but I want to know what he did when he just started out. If he was going to just trade one contract, what would he do? That's what I would ask him. If you were going to trade with just one contract, what would you do? And see if he would say, well, you can't really do a whole lot with one contract. Or maybe I say 5 contracts, what would be the kind of thing? Or was his edge really more to do with the size and messing everybody else up? RSI is probably another good one, though. People have been talking about RSIs a lot. We could do that on a daily basis.
Live Action says he started with 750.00.
So he did start with not a lot. But how did he build it up in the originally? Did he just get a bunch of lucky trades, or what was his strategy? Does he think it still works? I guess he is probably not going to share it with us, huh? But that's what I would like to know. Okay, well, the open so far has prevented them from touching 3,400. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back and tag it anyways. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to go back and tag it anyways. Oh, yes, that's right. I should check my email. This Financial Juice's little deal is past now. And I thought that they were maybe going to post some more stuff. Well, it's just 2 points. Come on. Meh. I guess they're not interested.
Salim L. Wuthering says I think if you risk more you can get lucky. Once you reach the point of 100k you can afford a poor strategy yet stick by more than what you lose.
Yeah, that could be too. He might have used a high strategy that took on a high risk and built his account up that way at first, and then. I mean, the ones where you have like a really wide stop and just take a little bit out, it's not like it doesn't work. It's just there's really significant problems with it. It's probably not a strategy well suited to most retail traders, especially beginners. Because a beginner, it just fools you into thinking something that works when it doesn't. And then by the time you realize that it doesn't actually work, you're like way too deep.
Live Action says I hear he uses point and figure now. The way I look at charts I sent you is similar. I was using point and figure when that fun guy said I was the best scalper he ever saw.
Oh.
Ahmed Muziru says hi guys.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a lot of the thing was you sending me some of that stuff and then thinking, well, that's not.
Salim L. Wuthering says I think he lost probably 50 accounts of 750 USD and then one picked up the luck.
Yeah. I remember thinking, well, what Live Action is showing me is not all that unusual or unheard of. Well, that's where I'm saying, like my theory is that a lot of the guys that are scalping and are doing really, really well, are probably relying more on fundamentals than even they might realize.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ looks like a sell again.
You know, like, do you go and you read like morning briefings and reading and the economic numbers and the CNBC and have an idea? Like, I was watching No BS Day Trading. He had a video yesterday. It wasn't really stuff that he hadn't said before, but it was just kind of like a video just for that. I'm not sure why he made it, but because he hasn't made a video in like a year, but he put a video out and he was talking about fundamentals. He was talking about, the election is coming up and that's going to be really volatile and that's going to mess some trading up and this and that, right? It was all fundamental stuff. I was like, so many people are tell me, when I stopped reading the news, I started doing better, and I'm like, I really don't see how that's the case. Well, there you go.
Live Action says I read constantly. If I miss a day, I am off a bit.
Because the big thesis, the big point that I'm trying to make to retail traders right now is you need to read the news. That's the point. That if there's one thing that the majority of retail traders do, or a belief that they hold that's wrong, it's that you shouldn't read news. It's the exact opposite. And I found I had it there in Discord. I found a study where they did some machine learning algorithms, had them run it on it, and the machine learning algorithms determined that the day's news was more predictive than anything that it could find with technical analysis. Nobody has day trading as an order book trader. I just saw him. He is the order book trader, really. I think what we're doing, he's the one that really introduced retail traders to it. Oh, you were subscribed to him. Yeah, I would bet. He's pretty influential. Sunday Driver asks, did the news tell you that? No, it did not. Well, this is the thing that I find so interesting, is that the news just provides the news, and there's all sorts of subscription services and stuff that you can get for business and trading related news. And then you have all of these retail traders saying that all of that stuff is nonsense. Well, I mean, it goes the other way, because there's a lot of retail traders trading technical analysis, but then there's people saying that it's nonsense. And there's even technical analysis experts at firms. Maybe there's some reasons why they have that and technical analysis doesn't work still. But You get where I'm going. It's just like, uh, why do retail traders think that the news is not useful? Well, so then it's a kind of like, well, what kind of hard evidence can we have to try and determine that? And the only thing that I found is one study, and that one study said that the news was predictive, like a 55% predictability, whereas the technicals were 50%, which basically meant that they had no edge. And then you extrapolate that to say, well, if your analysis of the news is more nuanced and includes trader positioning and expectations and things like that, then you probably can even get that even higher. Who cares if TA works or not? I think that a lot of people that are spending a lot of money trading off of technical analysis and losing, I think that they probably care quite a bit. Of course, convincing them that it doesn't work seems to be a fool's errand. And you missed our back test, Gary. Maybe you might have an opinion on this. Did I close them all? We were investigating the 50-day simple moving average on NQ, and the what do we say? Contention is that if we close below the 50-day moving average, that you should get out, and vice versa. And we back tested that, and we actually found that if you're only taking long, so if you get out here and then you only get in when we're down here, it actually does pretty well, but that it doesn't have a high probability. The reason that it does well is because of the runners, but the win rate was actually quite low. Well, I think it was 40%, right?
Block sell.
So I was wondering, is there some sort of better rule than just that we close below the simple moving average that we should use that would make people say that it's a more authoritative backtest? Or was just saying you have to have 2 days close above it was what we did? Simple look at monthly big economic reports and look at monthly charts and then decide if it's an edge. Do you lump S&P Capital and Maverick Trading with Earn to Trade? Well, I'm not too familiar with their plans. My recollection was that they were like way more expensive, so that would just make them worse, right? But overall, I think that you should, especially if you're new, you should try and trade your own account or just trade at Sim. Really don't think that spending those money on combines really pays out unless you really know you have a good strategy. Okay, so now they're trying to sell below 3,400. Overall, it looks like the buyers aren't doing so hot today. What do you think about swinging trade in 5 SMA on like a what of a time frame? On what of a time frame? Pull it back up. Daily. Okay. What do you trade? You want to do it on the E-mini or we do it on NQ again? You could do it on the E-mini. Moving averages, daily SMA. And here we can change it to a 5-day. Oh, you want to do it on a 4X? That makes it a little bit more difficult. Okay, but we'll try it. There's 6E. Don't break at end of day. And again, we will go back as far as it will let us. So 2008. Okay. I'm going to guess that 5 is going to be too short.
Salim L. Wuthering says they kinda have training program and trading firm where you can share with top-notch traders and develop AI with their quants.
Yeah. The thing with SMB Capital, they've been around a long time and I've heard a lot about them, but I don't actually see a whole lot of like real reviews of them. It's like the people that go there, they don't talk about it. Maybe there's some on the other forums that I'm not reading, but it's going to take it a bit because it has to download the data probably. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I did it wrong. I'm just going to have to kill that. I hope that didn't like increase my memory like crazy. No, I think we're, oh, no. Okay, yeah, I think we're okay. As long as we're below 1,000. I didn't change it over to a daily chart. Oops. Let us try that one again. Daily. Day, 1 day. 6E. Moving average, my daily SMA. Time period going all the way back to 2008. Don't break it, end of day. Run. Should be fast when it goes. Should be relatively fast. You're short Euro USD? Really? Well, you're getting some decent down. There's still, it seems like that when they touched that 1.2, they really got hit back after that, didn't they?
Salim
There
L.
we go.
Wuthering says I felt there is something off with their VED. But I though from the suggestions you gave earned 2 trade to develop that you would like them. But anyways.
So it kind of looks like it's not that good. Oh, we wanted a 5 period, huh? Let's come back and change it a little bit, huh? Because it's an FX. So here's where we can like strategies, moving averages, SMAs, daily SMA. Enter short. It's a little slow. So it looks like that has maybe a little bit of edge. Looks like that has maybe a little bit of edge. For that to work for you, who was it that was asking me about that? Ahmed. For that to work for you, Ahmed, you really have to let your winners run, right? Now you can see. Oh, let's change it off of points and to ticks. That maybe will make it a little bit easier to read. So you can see that the winning trades are like twice the size of the losing trades. Not quite twice the size of the losing trades. So that's where it's deriving some edge from. But that's kind of where, when I see a result like that, I sit and I look at it and I say, okay, so I don't necessarily want to just mechanically trade the moving average. But what it does tell me is that when it goes from that point and it runs, then it runs. But that trade usually doesn't work. It's only a 40% winner, which means that there's going to be a lot of mess around it, probably. So you could probably, combine that with a bunch of other stuff on swings and maybe make something. But it also is kind of suggesting that there's not like oh, you know what, we didn't change the period. You wanted a 5 period. It kind of suggests that I mean, like, the Sharpe ratio on it isn't very good, right? So like, let me show you an example here. Where was it? Here it is. So you see that one? Sharpe ratio is almost 2. That's a good strategy. From that backtest, I only backtested like a week, right? I only backtested like a week, but look at that. Your winner is larger than your loser, and your probability is 87% on short trades. Just saying. We should turn that one on. I've been meaning to turn that one on, and I keep forgetting. I'm glad we did this. Now I can come in here and I can say strategies. Oh, I have a bunch of these on here. What the heck? New strategy. Oh, you know what? Okay, I was doing it on 1 minute data. One minute. Count sim.
Ahmed Muziru says thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, and then we want to do that. Yes. Okay. I guess that has to calculate on each tick anyways. Huh? Tick replay. Only load 1 day. No, 2 days. Thump, 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 thump. Okay. Experts say Beijing unlikely to block ByteDance deal with Oracle. Okay, if you say so. says it's loading, which means I think it's loading up the tick replay here. So my charts are kind of chunky.
Sunday driver says make a big uncomfortable trade. Just for the lols.
Why do you want me to lose money so badly, Sunday? I don't understand. I just don't understand that. I could have made a long there, but
Vlad Stolyarov says only long.
yeah. Man, kind of
Sunday
considering
driver
it.
says that's a negative interpretation.
That's a negative interpretation. Well, you might think it's lulz, but for me, if I lose money off of it, I don't think it's lulz. Why should I undo like a whole week's worth of work with a trade just
Sunday
for
driver
your
says I want you to strike it rich.
amusement? You want me to strike it rich? I don't know.
Live Action says at Gary Rich, you make a very good point about not caring about TA. In hindsight, wish I wasn't so greedy. I did not outperform day trading versus hold.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, here's the thing that here's a part of this discussion that I think people get wrong all of the time. Okay, if you are day trading on an intraday basis, the amount that you make compared to if you just bought and hold doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is the thing that matters the most, I think, is your maximum drawdown and your overall profitability. Okay, because the whole point of a day trading is to manage your risk more closely so you don't make as much money, but it's more consistent. So if you have a strategy like that that has really bad drawdowns, then that kind of defeats the purpose of it. Because the whole thing is you don't want to go, a month where you can't pay the bills, right? But if you're like swing trading or you're doing technical, trading on daily charts and stuff, then really for it to be worth it, you have to outperform the index. Then now you're playing the hedge fund game. Just saying. All right, this is not working.
Salim L. Weathering says, what did you bet more? Why did you lose a week's worth? Did you get in with 7 contracts?
No, I didn't take a trade, but that's what he wants me to do. I think I'm actually going to restart Ninja here because it's when I tried loading that, it killed over. So what happens when you start messing around with it? And it is, well, it's not using a ton. Don't need that open. Web browser takes so much memory, dude. It's ridiculous. Yeah, see, it's actually hung.
Sunday driver says swing for the fences.
Well, let's let the business inventories come through first. Got about a minute. Okay. Inventory is in line with the forecast. Housing market index is higher than expected, 83 versus 78. So, yeah. Not much of a reaction. E-mini kind of looking long. Okay, so now we're going to kill Ninja Trader. I'm sorry, a ninja, but we have to end it. Oh, it killed it pretty okay. It killed it pretty okay, actually. Let's see if it kills that workspace. Okay, so it's still moving up.
Live action says Seth, funny thing today, you weren't highlighted live.
I wasn't highlighted live on your YouTube page? No, it is on my page. Live now. That's kind of interesting. Well, you know what? Maybe that's a good time then to remind you guys to hit that like button. Really helps the channel out. Makes makes the live stream shown to more people, which is great. And if you haven't watched our most recent videos, that's always a big help to the channel too. But you guys do so much for the channel. We're doing pretty good. So wouldn't worry about it too much. It's kind of funny how things just kind of work on their own and I don't really have to worry about it too much. Okay. So let's try loading this again. Well, okay. We'll see if it actually takes any trades. Oh, no, wait. Now it says loading.
Salim L. Wuthering says Matt just got his ego inflated during the week with $100 traders here and there. Yesterday he lost $2,000, today $3,000. He now in denial closed his chat because I was only one bashing him in the chat.
Don't go and harass other people, Salim. I found it interesting because I was just kind of doing some research and comparing my, growth to some other channels and stuff. And I was looking at his channels, and when you look at all of his videos, they're all saying that he made money almost all of those days. Is it going to show that he lost money today? I don't think it will. So is he... Maybe you're not getting the full picture? I don't know. I don't know.
Vlad Stolyarov says I thought he made it yesterday.
What do you mean by made it? We made 400 yesterday.
Vlad Stolyarov says 400 plus or something. Gary Rich says at live I still use top with other stuff. It's a blended approach. Vlad Stolyarov says in morning at least.
Seems to me that technical, like when I look at the things, one of the things I found really interesting is I found it really hard to find a technical indicator that on its own gives you a really high probability. I haven't found that.
Salim L. Wuthering says at Vlad Stolyarov no he gave it back at the end haha.
But you see, you're saying like...
Yuri says can you watch GC chart give a Cygnus slightly smiling face.
Well, I do have a chart over there. It's in the very upper left. It's kind of turned around a little bit. You can see there, I tried turning this strategy on and it says loading. The problem is it's such a
Brandon
complicated
Robbins says his
strategy.
cumulative delta must.
I feel that it is.
Salim
I
L.
have
Weathering says at Vlad Stolyarov, are you seriously routing for him? Ha 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 ha.
I have a really hard time understanding what's going on without being able to see the cumulative delta. It's just really you just really need it to see like the bigger picture about where people are getting in at and stuff like that. This strategy is like I don't know what's wrong with it. I've got like a lot of stuff added on there. I don't know why. See, it's like a really complicated strategy, and um, I can't figure out why it's not. I mean, it's complicated, but it's not like doing that much. I don't understand why, because it did this when I was backtesting too. I was backtesting. It's like it wants to load the tick replay data or something, and it just takes for freaking ever. And then if I try and disable it, it doesn't. So I'm gonna kill Ninja Trader again. Something wrong with the strategy. I don't know what to do about it. Well,
Gary Rich says debating or arguing if TA works or not is like chocolate or strawberry is best. It's personal preference.
I don't think so. So like the thing is you're using a blended approach, right? And that's kind of the more nuanced thing to it. The question is if I write a strategy out and I say, okay, when X thing happens, I'm going to get in, and when X thing happens, I'm going to get out, and you rely purely that, and you're trying to day trade, you can backtest it, and you can see what the performance of that is. And the further into that I go, the more I'm saying that like it just doesn't work. And you have a bunch of retail traders out there saying all you need is the technical analysis. Just do the technicals and you'll be profitable. And it's not true. It's just not true. You're extremely unlikely to be profitable doing that, especially if you're just doing the standard technical analysis kind of setups that everybody else is doing. You know, like you're just using the same indicators that everybody else is using. You're using the same patterns that everybody else is using. On an intraday basis, it just doesn't work from all of the research that I've done, all of the exploration that I've done. So it's not like a personal preference thing. It's really a question of true or false. And my assertion is that it is false that that all a retail trader needs to do is look at technical analysis and they'll be successful. People keep saying, technical analysis, it really works. You're just sabotaging yourself. I don't think so. I think that the strategies have things that they don't, problems that they don't realize. Maybe I could have it just load one day, but I just don't understand how it's like why it takes forever, but whatever. Now's probably not the time to mess with this, so I'll just leave it alone.
T-Bone21 says trading system needed preferably at mechanical that can be back tested.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to trade with technical analysis, then you should be backtesting it. And then most people aren't. And every time that I see trades that people are doing like that, so like a really good example of a mechanical system is the price action trading systems, right? And when you actually look at price action, what it really is it's a series of like tips, really. It's not really a mechanical strategy. It's like, don't trade it on the first touch of it. And, they say use support and resistance, but support and resistance isn't very clearly defined, right? It's so vague that you can really turn it into whatever you want still. So it's hard for me to go in and backtest it and say, well, if we backtest it, then we show that it doesn't work. Because people will just say, well, you're doing it wrong. That's not how I use it. And then you're caught in this endless loop of changing it over and over again for these people, and they're never happy because they'll just say it's you, it's the system, the back tester isn't effective, etc., right? Whereas then I go and I look at all the people that I've seen that are successful, and they're incorporating news, and I'm sitting there like, maybe news is the itch. And that's where I was saying, like, I don't think I've found a technical indicator that indicator on its own has a really high probability. I just haven't. What I have found are indicators that when you do catch it, it really runs. And so it seems to me that technical analysis is really good at telling you what the risk reward is for something, but that it isn't very good at telling you whether or not something will actually happen. But news is really good at telling you that something will actually happen. So if you use a technical analysis to just kind of keep you aware of what's going on, let you know what the trend is, let you know what the risk reward on trades are, what the range is, that sort of a thing, right? Then you use the news to determine if you're actually going to get in or not. That's a way better way of doing it. So that's my point, and I think it's a really important discussion because I believe that a really large number of retail traders are failing because they think that all they have to do is trade off of this technical analysis setup, and that doesn't actually work.
Salim L. Weathering says, but not all news run. Salim L. Weathering says some news conflict each other.
And that's where being able to develop an edge in news is a really effective way to trade, because you can know if what news matters and what news is more likely to be fake, and how the market is actually going to react to certain pieces of news and how significant they are. That's all part of the edge, and that's an edge that you can't necessarily duplicate with code. I mean, people do it with Twitter a little bit, but I don't know. I think that those I haven't seen much evidence of those Twitter robots lately. It used to be that I was so frustrated by them, but ever since the pandemic, it seems like those trades that I was like looking at, oh, it's those stupid Twitter robots. I haven't said that in a while, have I? So I'm just saying. I think that if day traders sat down, read a lot of news, spent a lot of time being as knowledgeable about the markets as they possibly can be, and spent a lot of time looking at how do major players actually function, like how do hedge funds function and what are their strategies and things like that, I think that they would be much more successful. I think that the win rate for traders would be more like 30% instead of 5%.
Salim L. Weathering says there should be an explosive news with explosive moves. That is mechanical, which you can trade fast and other you can trade and let them run.
Well, sometimes you'll get an explosive news and they'll move one way, and then they realize that their interpretation of the news is wrong and they go the other way. That's the ones where you can really do well if you're really good with the news. That's some of our best trades have been like that. Remember when Peter Navarro said on Fox that the Chinese trade deal was basically over or whatever, And so like the whole market sold off, and it was like, yeah, but the administration doesn't make a major policy announcement like that on the evening news on a small Fox program. So you should fade it. And of course, we immediately came and walked back out his response, and you made a ton of money if you bought that, right? So even if you get a big move and it's fast and everything, there's still some edge you can pull out of that.
Salim L. Weathering says, yeah, you can trade both sides if you are fast enough.
Well, it's not even trading both sides. It's like it's saying the market is wrong, right? Like the best trades are, people say that there is a what it was this efficient market theory. No, market is wrong all the time, and that's what you're really looking for, is when the market is wrong about something. Especially if it's something where they'll figure out that they're wrong very quickly. So there's some things on daily basis is that, yeah, it could take weeks and months for them to figure it out. And by then you're blowing your account. Yeah. What's Brannigan Barrett saying here? The single biggest risk from the Fed and FOMC today is the signaling that the balance sheet has capped out. This will come only if an intelligent journalist asks, don't hold your breath. If the big BS was in June, the market will panic. I don't know if they'll panic, but the market does seem to think that there's going to be more support.
Vlad Stolyarov says market was extreme on C yesterday, now it corrected the move, pretty clear setup.
Oh, on Citigroup? On Citigroup,
Salim
yeah.
L. Weathering says that's when you can get in.
Somebody is using a jackhammer outside. Do you hear it? Ooh, I don't know what they're doing out there.
Vlad Stolyarov says you had capitulation volume end of day. Vlad Stolyarov says my favorite counter trend. Vlad Stolyarov says idea.
So there's a little something there. I'm not sure if the timing is right. But there is some absorption there at 3401. It seems like they're selling it here. Okay. Okay. We're going to get the oil numbers here in 10 minutes, by the way. Zero Hedge tweets Pelosi holds House Democrats hostage as party revolts over stimulus impasse. That's interesting. It really does seem like Pelosi has been the holdout, you know? So I'm going to take a smaller target than I normally do here on this one because we are up to the buyer's cost basis. So there's likely to still be some noise around here. I wish I had put that out there. I probably would have already gotten filled on it. Of course, there is a good chance that they'll just rock it out. I guess let's cancel that for now.
Salim L. Weathering says, Seth, if you can live in any city in the U.S., which one would you choose?
Well, I like living
Vlad
here in Utah,
Stolyarov says,
but
news home builder confidence all-time high.
I wouldn't expect everybody to love living here in Utah, but well, that sucked. I had a good trade there, and I should have had my limit order out. Now, the way that moved down there is a little curious. I could probably put that there. Hmm. Wonder, it's kind of starting to move quite a bit here, isn't it? Do you eat bison meat? Is Dallas politically correct? Dude, all the Democrats live in Dallas, is my understanding. So if you're trying to avoid the woke crowd, then Dallas probably is not the spot. Salt Lake is really quite conservative and Republican, but it's also, everybody's Mormon, so a lot of people don't like that. Nah, they ruined my dream politically correct in fiction. Yeah, any major city, dude, is going to be like that. But apparently Dallas is particularly bad, or is getting particularly bad. Well, I don't know what they're doing on the road out there, but they're really going to town on it. Hmm. I'm noticing that the book is playing a few some shuffling games here that I'm not too fond of. By the way, the treasuries are heading down lately. Just the last 30 minutes or so. Since equities opened. Are we going to get oil in 3 minutes? I don't know if that's related. I thought Dallas believes in God. Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are like that, but you got to realize that a lot of people have moved, you know? So Dallas is a growing area. Snowflake indicated to open between 155 and 160 in market debut on the NYSE versus $120 a share IPO price. My, oh my. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good, reward just for being in the IPO. Well, I guess we're doing this.
Vlad Stolyarov says they might dump financials again.
Well, something's going on, man. I mean, it's moving around quite a bit here. It's very rangy behavior, but I don't know. When we start to see things like that, it's usually not a good thing, but I don't know. You can see how they're on that one. I had an okay spot. It's just it's not going. This is like I was saying before that like the timing's probably not right. So
Vlad Stolyarov says I would close S-longs if anyone took him.
really. 60 is getting dumped.
Vlad Stolyarov says it's been under VWAP anyway.
So it looks like oil was a draw. Donald Trump, Democrats are heartless. They don't want to give people stimulus payments to people who desperately need the money and whose fault it was not that the plague came in from China. Go for the much higher numbers, Republicans. It all comes back to the USA anyways. I don't think that they're going to do that. He's saying Republicans should try and compromise on a $6 trillion or a $3 trillion bill, maybe, instead of a $1.5 trillion bill.
Salim L. Weathering says, how about Florida? Is it infected?
Yeah, you should ask Uzi that one. Sounds like Uzi has some neighbors that he doesn't always like, too.
Vlad Stolyarov says, haha. Vlad Stolyarov says Florida don't use masks. Vlad Stolyarov says humidity kills virus automatically outside.
Oh, yeah?
Salim L. Weathering says at Vlad Stolyarov, I kinda like that. There is hope then.
Well, it's now past the bottom of the hour. Book's still flipping around a lot. Looks like they're a little unsure here at this spot. If they decide to go, it could really go, but well, what would we have to be looking at? Downside would be maybe like 94, 90. Some clicky click here.
Salim L. Weathering says at Vlad Stolyarov, by infected I mean, it's infected by wokeness, by veganism, and politically correctness and moral posturing.
It's interesting that the euro really took a deep dive there and that the equities aren't more afflicted. So they're kind of just hovering just there above the regular session low. I'm not seeing like huge orders here yet, but I guess Prime Minister Johnson is speaking right now. Oil sliding. I see the money flow going that it probably should, some money should be coming out of stocks, but they look like they just don't want to move. Maybe they need another 10, 20 minutes or so before the equities are ready to go somewhere. I don't know. Okay, that kind of fell there. I don't know if that was some kind of a stop run or what. It looks like now they're really ready to go for the. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that wasn't bad, but it wasn't like full on stop panic yet. There's still quite a bit of positioning from overnight that they can wash out. If I'm so lucky, I will. I think I might have to get out before that, though.
Salim L. Weathering says, Seth, would you rather San Francisco or New York?
New York, 100%. I've never been to San Francisco, though, but everything that I hear about it makes it sound like San Francisco, not my kind of town. Excuse me. Well, it kind of tried a little bit to pull itself up.
Salim L. Weathering says,
looks
what's
really
bad about
heavy.
it, boss?
Oh, that's like the smug liberal area. Like New Yorkers, they understand what capitalism is. They're liberal liberals. California liberal are the snooty, annoying ones that everybody hates.
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA was a short just took time, aha.
And the real estate market out there is really jacked up too. Like, you pay $1 million to live in a shithole. New York's nice. Everywhere that I see in New York, it was nice. Even if it was like a small apartment. Yeah, some lows, but
Salim L. Weathering says, oh my god,
bounce.
thanks.
So looking to where to move to. Kind of depends on what you want to do for a living, right? Man. Hmm. Now you're getting some volume here, right? Maybe.
Salim L. Weathering says, wanna get a job in banking for my wife and job in teaching for me.
Then you should go to New York. New York is the financial center. Yes, you can get back office jobs in Salt Lake City, but
PRT1 says everyone is moving to Texas.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people moving into. You're right. Tell you what, okay trades here today, but not getting my targets at all. I guess I'm just swinging for too big of a runner, I guess.
PRT1 says it's the Alamo for conservatives.
Maybe. There's a lot of people moving into Texas. That's where I'm thinking, like, banking. I don't know if
Salim L. Weathering says at PRT1Y. Because of the Trump wall?
I mean, really, for one like that, you should get the job and then move to wherever they're at. Do you have family in the U.S.? So it's hard to get the visa, without family.
PRT1 says fastest growing city in North America.
Hmm.
PRT1 says no, not at all, and my wife says forget it.
My wife says forget it. What? Man. I might have had something there short, but it's just being a little too
PRT1 says moving to
difficult
Texas.
for us. See this? Doesn't seem like it really wants to move.
Salim L. Weathering says yeah. My aunt and my uncle live there in Florida. Their son is so woke though. If her son lived in Morocco he would get the snot slapped off his face by anyone passing by.
Okay, well, that was a little better. Oh, okay, that's way nicer.
Vlad Stolyarov says there goes AAPL.
Hmm.
Vlad Stolyarov says under yesterday low. Vlad Stolyarov says need to bounce it here for small save.
Thing is there's so much positioning
PRT1
overnight,
says is what's with volume MES.
all the way to like 88, really. Look at that. They actually caught that one, but that was quite a flush in volume there.
Vlad Stolyarov says volume is rollover probably. Salim L. Wuthering says to be honest it don't get more conservative than where I live. So I think I am not moving until they bring in fake meats to Morocco.
Okay. It's been really hard for them to catch a real swing that's more than just 2 points at a time, you know?
Vlad Stolyarov says I am going to fall asleep.
You're gonna fall asleep.
Vlad Stolyarov says this market isn't crashing.
I'm kind of like lasered in and I'm not, yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says might go long now.
I still see
Salim L.
overnight
Wuthering says
positions,
New Yorkers are crazy
but
touching a bull testicles for good luck. We eat bull
well,
testicle to
everybody
make
does that,
healthy
dude.
children.
Everybody does that. Probably you'll go visit New York and you will touch it too. But remember, being superstitious is bad luck. Yeah, it seems like there's just, I mean, it's overall the sentiment and everything and the money flow is negative, but it seems like that there's just a bit
Vlad Stolyarov says sometimes it starts accelerating, sometimes it reverses.
It's just not like really, really running down, despite breaking new lows a couple of times here. It's like the downside that you're getting off of them is a little disappointing.
Vlad Stolyarov says like a broken transmission on a car.
I should point out, though, that we're not seeing the treasuries really move. They had that pretty aggressive move down, and they've come back up 2 ticks. But overall, as the E-mini's been doing all this nonsense, it hasn't really gone very far. Crap. Noticing that some shorts took profits on that last move down, too.
Vlad Stolyarov
It's
says
acting
channel
like
is still down.
news.
Vlad Stolyarov says going to take a break.
I should take a break, too. I'll be right back. I don't know if this is the best spot to be buying. It looks like up, though.
Salim L.
Okay.
Weathering says, contrary to the common belief that COVID can kill you, I feel good today.
Oh yeah, because you still have COVID. Well, it takes a lot longer than that to get over it, so maybe you don't really have it. Hmm. Hmm. Odd. Kind of a move there. It might be that Boris Johnson is speaking, and that's kind of causing the market to go the way that it does. It seems real choppy, doesn't it? Okay. And it kind of looks like they're fighting it out here. Like some bears were trying hard there. Maybe they give up now. It's kind of floated back up there pretty easily.
PRT1 says universal basic income proposed by Trudeau.
What? Really? Even for him, that's a little surprising. That's probably the most high profile politician that has brought it up now, isn't it? Snow now indicating 200? Wowzer.
PRT1 says loser.
I don't think that guy really actually has like deep-seated principles or ideas. I think he's just kind of saying stuff based off of what he
Vlad
thinks
Stolyarov
people
says snow backed by Berkshire.
gonna react. Yeah, snow is the big one. You know, of all of those tech IPOs, I was actually more interested in Sumo Logic, but I haven't been able to find a whole lot of information about it for some reason. My broker wasn't offering it, and I don't even know when when that one's supposed to come out to the market. Maybe they haven't priced it yet. I don't even know what snow does. But it's definitely like just the fact that Berkshire Hathaway is interested in it is what's causing it. That's kind of funny. And there's indicating 200 when they was priced at 120 for the IPO. That's pretty crazy. Okay, so the buyers dug it out there and came back up. Still see a little bit of room to go to the upside.
Brandon Robbins says, what do you think about Scientific America endorsing Biden?
What? I don't think that a magazine like that should be making residential endorsements. Here's the problem with politics and science is that the science should be completely disconnected from the politics of it. And it's not right now. And when it's not, how can you trust the science, right? Like honestly, like people's biases come in all the time when they've seen all this stuff that shows that a lot of scientific studies can't be duplicated. There's problems with the way that
Brandon
the
Robbins
process
says,
works.
couldn't agree more.
Because what gets funded and so on and so forth, like they don't really fund studies to show, something that's already been shown, for instance. There's some problems with it, and then they get involved in the politics of it. It's just not. Well, this bull run is starting to look a lot like the it just goes up and never stops. So now we're to my potential profit taking spot for me. But look at the way that it's going through. And I don't see really, well, I mean, there is their regular session high, which is not actually too far from here, is it? I don't remember what was the actual open. So the actual open was pretty close up there. It was 6. So maybe they go for the regular session high first, but then I don't see anything that would really have to stop us until 14.
PRT1 says,
16.
once they settle the science, then politics has taken over.
Well, but there again, it's like science. If it's really true science, there should never be a settled. It should always be that we're trying to improve our understanding about things. I just hear a lot of things that just seem antithetical to the way that science works. Well, one of the things that like truly irks me is the way that they use statistical models. Because these things are
PRT1
not
says
predictive.
exactly.
You can have a model and that can kind of sit down and say, okay, well, these are some things that we think affect this, like the climate, for instance, and look at it and see how well it actually predicts things. But we know that it's just a model, that it's not real life and that it's not fact. And then the media comes and takes it and treats it like it's fact. And they just completely misrepresent the way that models and things like that should really be used. And there's real damage in that, and you can see how that caused damage with the pandemic, right? Because the model that they were using to say that we needed to shut down, or more particularly that it was going to cause so many healthy people that that it was just going to be a complete disaster. That model was total bullshit. Like they put it out on open source, and there are so many problems with it. There are so many bugs in there. It's just absolutely ridiculous that anybody was making a policy decision from this model. This is not, and it's a big part of it, media's fault. Really, I don't know any other way to put it, because they are misrepresenting how a model should be used. It's just like, I have a model here in the market that kind of tells me where average positions are. That just kind of gives me a good idea about certain levels, doesn't actually tell me what's going to happen. It's just a simulation of a simplified simulation of what's going on. It's not the actual thing. The only way that you can actually know what's going to happen is to do the actual thing. Ugh. And then it's the same problems with technical analysis. It's like it's a back test. It's not indicative of future results. That they don't tell you the limitations of these kinds of methods. A little bit of an iceberg there, just below 3404. I think somebody might be just reducing their risk right there. There you go. It's like they wanted to reach for it, they're not going for it. Oh man. Well, they're coming up to that high, the regular session high, very quickly.
PRT1 says when is FOMC?
2 o'clock Eastern time. Then 30 minutes after that is the press conference. And remember, the press conference can be really nasty trading. I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying to play that. In fact, this is an FOMC that I'm not even sure I will try sim orders. I think I will just sit back and watch because it's going to be a real mess. Even if you have a good chance of predicting what's going to happen, I think that it's going to be a real mess. Okay, so a little ticking there. See if buyers decide to pick up more here or not. Got a bit of a doji kind of uh, bar there. Here in this bar as well. Interestingly enough, to get back up here to the highs, it did not take a whole lot of market orders to do it. So that means that if we touch the regular session high, I think that there's a pretty good chance of some stop orders. So I think it suggests that we didn't really get the shorts stopped out yet. It's just up, 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 up when it goes. It's pretty clear movement in the tape. least for now. That can change so quickly, but Marco Rubio sends a letter to Trump demanding that the White House scrap the TikTok deal. What? Why? Rubio and Republican senators just sent a letter to the Trump administration outlining their concerns over a proposed deal. We remain opposed to any deal that would allow China-based or controlled entities to retain, control, or modify the code or algorithms that operate any U.S.-based version of TikTok. Strongly urge the administration to reject such a proposal on national security grounds. So they're saying that the Chinese could still manipulate the American public with their algorithm. Okay, there's the regular session high. Not necessarily clear stops, but it's going. Looks like there's some volume interested in transacting up here. Well, that's a little bit better of a squeeze. Well, so like I said, I still don't see anything.
Salim L. Weathering says at PRT1, all I know is my armpits are stinky as hell.
Until 34.16. Your armpits are stinky as hell. Yeah, you get that when you're sitting there and you sit like this. And that's gonna make you smell. You gotta let it breathe, man. You gotta let it breathe. Otherwise you get that nasty bacteria that makes it smell. You gotta let it, the air evaporate.
John 25 says tears of joy.
Ooh, there you go. That's a stop.
PRT1 says what use some bacteria-derived deodorant.
What? Really? Some people just don't use, if you're Asian, you have the gene and then you don't smell what. I don't know how that works, but apparently there's a gene for it. Some profit taking here. But they're still squeezing, man. Look at that.
133 USD says what is up, speculator Seth.
How are you? That's a new name.
Vlad
Welcome.
Stolyarov says oil saving spy.
Well, I'm doing pretty good now. I'm feeling pretty good now about this.
PRT1 says you can buy special bacteria deodorant.
You can't. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look that up. I get this
Vlad
issue
Stolyarov says AAPL saving spy.
My soil will start to smell like onions, and I think it has to do with issues with my colon.
Salim L. Weathering says at PRT1
I know, too much info, right?
I wish my girlfriend smelled too so she doesn't poke fun at me. 133 USD says I'm also good dude. Well, I pop in here randomly so you don't recognize me, haha.
Oh no, wait, I do. They're with the same name? Because now I'm looking at it, 133. I'm like, oh, I do think he has been.
Ace Trades says howdy.
There's Ace. Hey, did you catch any of this long, Ace? It was really choppy today. I was a little frustrated earlier. Glad I stuck with it, though.
PRT1 says it really works. John 2
Huh.
John 25 says lol Salim.
We're talking about
133 USD says same name. Live Action says Seth ever consider reversing your ladders and
you were
displaying
done
all of the
earlier than that.
indices in one T-note. Ace Trades says
No.
Done earlier. Vlad Stolyarov says I might short scalp here.
Hold on. So much. No. Was there anything else here I wanted? Yeah, we're talking about deodorant, but no. To the question about switching around and showing more equities, I have the NQ on here, right? I don't. I think it's fun, but I don't see stuff in the order flow and NQ that really looks incredibly predictive to me, and I doubt that the Dow would be the same. I mean, with the thinner instruments, I don't know if it is as big of a deal. I mean, I think you want to have them up so that you can see what they're doing, but yeah, I'm not so sure that it's a really big deal. Whereas in the treasuries, because there's so much spreading in the treasuries, you're really missing a significant part of the picture if you don't see all three, right? Do you see the way that it's spreading right now? Like there's more selling going into the 5-year than there is the other ones. And then if we come back over here and we look at the chart, right, you can see that overall we're flattening. And that's what the 5-year shows. The way that it's squeezing kind of suggests to me that there was way too many people short.
133 USD says I traded 20 mini contracts yesterday and almost died of cardiac arrest.
Good question.
Live Action says and that spreading tells you what about your S trade?
Good question. I'm not sure. Well, it means that they expect that the Federal Reserve might keep rates low for a really long time. I think that's what it means, right? I think more so it's what we're seeing still is that people want to be along the longer term maturities, and they're selling the short term maturities. Kind of with the way that we've seen this go and everything, I'm kind of wondering how long I can ride this. We might get a really significant pullback at some point, but there's enough baked into that now that we can kind of just let it, we can just kind of relax with it. Yeah, just move this to like, where did we get in at? 99? Can just kind of do that. I mean, if I can keep it to the FOMC, that would be awesome. And like I said, I still see positions short. Actually, they did take off a lot of their longs there, though. There's a potential turn here, but they still look like they're kind of trying to squeeze it, right? Well, there you go, just like that. Easily they squeeze it up to another new high. I'm not shorting this. This dip was bought, right? So let's think about the FOMC here for a second, though, because what are some of the things that we're looking at? Well, we have yield curve control. I don't think that they'll announce that, but maybe Powell will mention something about it in the press conference. Same with increasing the size and duration of treasury payments. That one they could actually have something in that. We're going to have the dot plot. The dot plot is a big thing too, right? Dot plot might show them more dovish than even the market expects, because the market's not pricing in anything until like 2022. And what if they come in on the dot plot and they say, we're not going to raise rates until 2025 or something, I see a lot of risks in this FOMC meeting, but you notice that the downside risks are kind of all based more off of the Federal Reserve disappointing people, right? People are expecting them to, to try and continue supporting the market, which means that there's actually very much some upside risk too that is not really explicitly stated, because I guess the overall expectation is that they're going to be dovish. Oh, it makes sense that the market will want to buy the dip and move up. Although, well, I don't know. The treasuries are going down though too, along with it, so that might have something to do with it. I also think some of this is probably related to the euro, right? Because the euro really kind of took a dive earlier, and the E-mini wasn't too affected by it. But then when the euro rose back up, the dollar came back down, and the equities started to see strength again. And because of the way that it bought it up, I think that a lot of people decided to get on too. Oil short squeeze of 30 to 990. Wow, that one in oil looks pretty crazy, right? They initially sold down on the oil report, right? It was at 830. Yeah, so initially off of the oil report, they sold down, and then look, it was totally a stop out. If I was a short in oil, I'd be pissed. Okay, so somebody's trying a little bit more aggressively to push it down here. Still got about 5 minutes. Zero Hedge tweets, the unspoken truth of Fed Day exposed. You've all heard the phrases, don't fight the Fed and there is no alternative. Can we be clear what these phrases actually mean? They mean people are buying assets at prices they otherwise wouldn't because the central bank planning community is putting in market conditions that changes their market behavior. People are paying forward multiples that are higher than they would if they earned higher interest income. The desperate search for yield, they call it. Think of it as a forced auction. You must pay, and you must pay more because you can't bid on anything else, and neither can anyone else. Hence, there are now bidders for every less available product, i.e. thinking about shrinking the number of share floats, driving prices wildly higher. And as central banks have become permanently dovish over the past decade, Fed meetings are the principal impetus for rallies. Indeed, most gains in markets come around days that have Fed Day written on them, a well-established history going back decades now. And in fact, the Fed itself is very well aware of. In a 2011 paper, the New York Fed Economist showed that from 1994 to 2011, almost all of the S&P 500's gains came in the 3 days around FOMC decision. Really? Over this period, the index rose by 270%, and most of those gains happened the before, the day of, and the day after the Fed meeting. Oh, not actually the day of. Okay. Oh, no, wait. The day before, the day of, and the day after. Okay. So Pavlovian has the response become that the shorts automatically cover ahead of Fed meetings and investors buy ahead of Fed meetings expecting a positive response? The Fed is the market as it's driving its entire behavior. The Fed put, they call it, another phrase that explicitly acknowledges that investors are orienting their risk profile behavior on what this unelected committee does. I don't think that anybody doubts this, so it's kind of funny that he's spending so much time on this. But
And this over-decade-long process, now permanent intervention that has produced the ever-widening disconnect in asset prices in the economy. There was an aggressive sell there, and they're already coming back up to it. So this thing continues to squeeze. Hot 133 says, I tried to avoid being in the market during FOMC bullshit. I'm 100% with you, man. Like, well, I don't know. I've made some really good moves right after this statement in the past, but once the press conference starts coming, that is always such a mess. I hate that. A perpetual process of intervention that is creating an ever-wide wealth inequality and is building ever more financial risks, facts that are well recognized by participants. Here is Mohammed El-Arain in his latest opinion piece highlighting the Fed put and the building risks and disconnects. Remember, though, before I read this, that Mohammed El-Arain has always been anti-dovish Fed and basically lost his job at PINCO because he didn't like quantitative easing and didn't really take advantage of it. He was the bear he was the guy that was bearish about quantitative easing. All right. Even looser monetary policy is likely to result in further disconnecting financial markets from the real economy, the issue of prosperous Wall Street versus the struggling Main Street. This could easily amplify the view that the Fed is aggravating inequality. While officials have tended to brush off, at least in public, the risk for future financial stability, overvalued markets, and overextended new retail investors, it may prove harder now that loose mortgage conditions are decoupling the housing market from forward income-based affordability indicators. Indeed, many signs of excessive financial risk-taking are already flashing yellow or red on the back of the continuously reinforced market notion of a deep, always in the money Fed put. I feel on this issue, I don't think that the Federal Reserve policy that they have right now inherently in and of itself exacerbates wealth inequality. I think that what they do really puts a lot of money into the markets, and investment in the markets is good for the future. I think that a good 10, 20 years from now, we're going to see a lot of technical innovation come through, and the results of all of this investment that we've been doing is really going to come out. But the problem is that as of right now, you are not seeing that come down into other people. A lot of the times they do share buybacks and they increase their dividends and stuff, and they're not investing it in people. And that's really the problem, is that it seems that the way things are right now, companies, for whatever reason the incentives aren't investing that money back into their people to improve the productivity of workers. And that's where it's a problem. And that's not just the Federal Reserve policy alone. It's the whole system. I digress. The gall of Jay Powell, then, who not only has a personal long index portfolio in the tens of millions of dollars, who not only personally benefits from said construct, but then continues to deny the policy's direct impact on the widening wealth equality, that audacity to lie to the American public about it all is something else. That could come back to 07 here. Salim, yo, you like black coffee with? Nope, I don't drink coffee. Why don't you drink a trading drink like coffee? Yeah, I drink water. You know what? Water is the most popular drink on the planet. Did you know that? Water, the most popular drink on the planet. I'm just saying. I like water. Coffee. I hate the smell of coffee, to be honest with you. Oh, I really don't like that smell. I know some people are like, no, hate it. I would always hate it when I was in school and everybody would bring in their cappuccino from Starbucks. I'm like, no. USD says, I respect your choice, Seth. Coffee makes me poop. It probably would make me poop too, because hot chocolate makes me feel that way. Yeah. I feel you.
Live Action says there is great opportunity during the Fed announcement. You need to practice these times. I have
There
already
really
shared
can
how
be.
to trade these.
It's the one. It's just the news conference is the thing, man. I really can't recommend actively trading during the news conference. Not scalping. If you have a trade and you're trying to let it run and you have a really good idea that it was positive in favor of your trade or whatever, you're swinging it, then fine. But just realize that the action in the news conference is really choppy. How do you guys trade the Fed? Well, you just have to. So here's what I would do if you want to try and trade it, like on Sim. First of all, make sure that you really have a good idea in both the treasuries and the S&P 500 about where key levels are, okay, for the past few days, and what the trends have been going into the meeting, so that you have some idea of what the market positioning is. Like, it looks to me like the treasuries are actually positioning short going into the FOMC for whatever reason. And clearly the equities positioning themselves long going into it. Although maybe that's just short covering. I digress. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to read the last statement. If you're watching it every month, then you'll already know. But you want to know, what does the statement tend to be, so that you can just look in and see what sentences stay changed and make a determination about if that's a big deal or not. Because that's going to be the first thing that's key, right? What they change in the statement. And then here again, you also really want to know what all of the analysts have been saying. Like, Zero Hedge usually has a pretty good preview on it. Basically just look at what people are looking at to see about it. In this particular case, I would be paying attention to that euro after this meeting, okay? Because the dollar has been such a significant driver of the trade over the past month. Especially when we started in that downturn, it started in the dollar strengthening. So watching the dollar is going to be a key component here, where you could get something that you might think of based off of this statement. Now, it's not a big deal, but then you see the currency move and you know where the money's flowing, right? So that's kind of the backdrops that I think you need to know. Understand the statement, understand the market expectations, understand the current monetary flows. And then you can listen to the statement and you can, try and make a call. And, it tends to be pretty whippy. But you can catch a good one sometimes. And, if you catch a good one and you're scalping that action afterwards, you get something, just take it. You know what I mean? You should replace NQ with the euro. Fits your format better. Well, if the DOM over in the euro actually meant anything. Honestly, I should probably replace NQ with oil, huh? I think that oil would probably be the thing where I think that seeing the order flow would be the most useful, instead of having it. Because, I have a chart. If I need to see the price, that's one thing. But it's when I want to know if the order flow matters. The NQ moves so quickly that you just can't tell. If there was a way for me to aggregate prices so that, like it did it by a point instead of a quarter of a point in the NASDAQ, then maybe it would be a lot more useful. But the way that it is right now, it moves so far that I can't do anything with it. Okay, well, you know what, guys? I'm going to be back for the FOMC. But, what should we call today's video? I didn't give it a name. Markets buy the dip ahead of FOMC 16th. Okay. So I'm going to call it that, unless you guys have a better idea. You can always come back and, if you have an idea, and come back and comment on the video, and maybe we'll change it. Isn't the euro controlled by the Illuminati? Well, it might as well be. I can't really tell where a currency is going to go, because you can't read flow in those. It's too segmented. Okay, so I'll see you guys. I'll probably start at maybe 5 minutes before the FOMC meeting. And in the meantime,
Stay profitable.